We are in this machine. And light workers who have a different intention of being born here are a kink. A kink in the machine to tip it a different direction, and that is the direction of evolutionary growth of consciousness. And so there are ways to tell if you're a light worker based on things that happened to you in your childhood, memories you may have that were strange, it didn't make sense, and your parents didn't believe you. You may have had visitations, you may have had dreams, you may have strange memories. You may have unusual things going on, inexplainable things going on in your body. You may have different interests, or you may have had different interests than your friends and your brothers and sisters your whole life. So where you thought, is this even my family? Or all your friends thought, were you adopted? Because you're not like your family. And so you feel like you're on this planet and everything is strange and confusing. The way people act, the way they move, the way they talk, what they want. And yet as we grow up, we try to adapt ourselves to it, and we kind of forget what we felt when we were young, and we start thinking we are failures. We are just not good enough because we aren't getting what these other great members of human life on earth are getting. They seem to have it all figured out. But you're just stuck down in the rut, down in the darkness, constantly trying to recycle the past and the pain and the suffering of not only yourself but your family in order to make it something better. But maybe you also feel that you can't make it better. Maybe you also, because of the intensity of our times, are feeling a bit overwhelmed by the calling, if you're even aware of the calling. Certain types of people, very creative people, are generally people who have a lot of ability to channel this energy. But the very creative people can also tend toward the self-destructive way, as a sort of way of merging that doesn't require going through the darkness, but just surrendering to the darkness. And there's a difference. Surrendering to the darkness and working through and lifting up the darkness is why we do things like art or writing or dancing. We're trying to take that dark, unconscious, feminine energy and lift it into the light and make it something new. And that's part of being a light worker. The thing about the light worker calling is that it's a lonely path, because not everyone is called to that. Not everyone is in that place. And so it's a place where you have to learn to be and feel misunderstood, and learn to find that center in yourself, and to accept other people around you and quit trying to maybe convince them of your reality when they're not going to see it because they're behind those veils. It's not your job to recruit or convince anyone of what you see or know to be true in this world. That has to happen from way below the roots of who that person is that you're trying to convince. And when they're ready, you won't have to convince them, because their eyes will be open just like your eyes were open. And your eyes can be open, and you can have all sorts of problems and not be totally perfect, and have all sorts of flaws and defects, whatever that means, things you're working on. But it doesn't mean that you're not being called by a higher power to lay down your will for a greater will, so that your body can literally be a vessel for the divine. Because what your body is capable of doing is pulling in the negativity, not only of your own past, but the paths of other people, your ancestors, and changing it. And then what you release is a purified darkness, a consciousness that was mixed with the unconscious darkness to bring balance to planet Earth. Because we're talking about unconsciousness. We're talking about when the subconscious mind becomes so much more filled than our ability to process and integrate it that we just tip over in favor of allowing the unconscious, that we don't even know why it's driving us, to drive us in whatever direction we go. And we convince ourselves that we're in charge, but we're not. The unconscious mind of our mother, our great-grandmother, all these ancestors have made us who we are, and we're going to go in that direction. But when you've been taking on this role of being a light worker, it's like a leap, it's like a quantum leap, where no, you're not just going in the same direction as your mother and your grandmother, etc., or your father and your grandfather. You are going to take what you were given and you are going to make something new out of it. In every circumstance that you're in every negative condition that you are subjected to, you have the ability to transform it by your words, by your action, by your heart. And the training is really just about you believing that. You having done it enough times to have the confidence where you don't know what you're doing, but you walk into the room and you just let go and you just let God. That you don't have to pre-plan your existence, because there is a divine flow that works through you. And that is what happens when you start to trust the process of being a light worker. And it's not, oh, you're a light worker and they aren't, you're better. It's not about that. It's just about different roles that we all play in different times in the development of humanity. And you're going to know that if you're different and you're unique and you are always trying to be molded, yet you never fit into the mold. Well, you trying to be molded is what caused all these problems and all this emotional upheaval and depression and fatigue and weariness. Because it's like, no, I was never enough. I could never be like them. I don't know what's wrong with me. Because you got tired of being pushed into the mold that you didn't fit in. Of course you would be tired. And you got used to hiding who you really were, or keeping it down, or not showing the most unique parts of you as if those are the worst parts of you when really they're the best parts of you. And so who you were was shut down, and you also tried to shut it down because the way culture does, we need to be like them, we need to fit in, we need to be a good member. But a light worker is a light worker, and people don't always like the light. People are hurt by the light. People are upset with the light. And so that is where skill comes in, and more training is that you have to be careful of how you're affecting other people and the words that you use to try to be there for them. We do not have the right or the need to convince anyone of anything. We can listen to people. They can try to convince us or persuade us, but it's a lost cause. We let life make us smooth and make us bright. We let it rub up against us. It's frictional. It's painful. That's part of the training. We let it happen. And the way we're able to do that without having feelings of reactivity or anger or defensiveness come up is that we are able to refine ourselves and also learn to contain ourselves emotionally. And that involves strengthening your body and your nervous system. So there's something in Ayurveda called ojas, which is this deep reserve of strength that we have, so that when the energy rises in a spiritual awakening, or the Kundalini energy, when it rises, it doesn't burn us out. Because if there's too much prana and there's too much fire burning, which is called tejas, if there's too much of this and we don't have the ojas, then we will burn out and our nervous system will be rattled and we will be fatigued. So when I keep talking about a foundation, what I'm really talking about is a lifestyle that is going to build the ojas within you, those deep, deep creative energy reserves. And there are specific things that build ojas and that sustain ojas. Because without that, your energy cannot rise. And while you're called to be a light worker, your energy needs to keep rising to be the best light worker that you can be. We're bringing light to this world. We're not contributing to the darkness. That's a very difficult thing to do, even though maybe it doesn't seem like it, because of all the stuff going around about how easy it is and how everyone's new age, everyone's buying this and everyone's doing yoga and everyone's doing that. But this is all marketing. This is all fluff. This is all glamour. This isn't about what the truth of yoga actually is. If you have depression, if you have emotional problems, if you have mood swings, if your thoughts are running crazy, you're low on ojas. You will need to get that first. So we want to build the ojas. This is done with food. This is done with massaging yourself with special oil. You can just use sesame oil. This is done with mantras, specific mantras. Ojas gets profoundly built through devotion. So when you live in your heart and when you care for yourself, like a mother cares for a precious child, when you care for yourself in that way, when you prepare your own food with care because you matter, you do matter. And if you're not valuing or caring or giving yourself the time to feed yourself properly, to get enough sleep, to live in a nice, clean environment, to take care of your skin, which is a major organ that helps your nervous system to take care of yourself, then there's something going on there. And there's a lack of love for yourself. And that's because of all the reasons I've been talking about earlier, where there's something wrong with you. That's what you think. And it's not conscious. But we got that impression because of the reaction of the world to us. And so until we are able to align and have this real relationship with the beings in the invisible realm, with spiritual teachers, with our own inner love, like we know God is real. If we worship the Divine Mother, she has to be so real to you that this doesn't matter anymore. And you surrender and you lay it down. And when you finally just get grinded down, some of us are stubborn. We finally realize, I cannot do this on my own. I can't do it on my own. I must let God in. I must let the Divine Mother take over my life. Like I wanted this and I wanted this and I wanted all these things. But it's not happening. Things are being taken from me. And it's been painful. And I've been clinging and I've been holding on and I've been afraid. And I've been so let down and I've been so confused by why I was born here to live a life that I couldn't make sense of anyway. We're blessed to be born into that place because until we are, we will not look for the truth. We will not tune into what is true because all of this is not true. This is true. She lives within us. It is true. This force of the Divine Mother within us is what connects us to those beings, those energies out there that are like a telephone connector that we can be directed by to know what to do and to know when the right time to do it comes, because timing really is everything. And so when we align with these invisible forces and we become subtle enough to tune into them and to hear them and to feel the truth, not being delusional, but you really need to do the work to get yourself in a place that this is solid. This connection to the invisible astral realm or the other causal realms or these different realms isn't just imaginary. There is something bigger than this personality, but it is still me that knows more about what I need, that can see the future better than I can see. And so that I need to tune in and surrender to it, like willingly, because it's a lost cause to fight the truth of who you really are, as opposed to this little personality that thinks it needs a certain thing. That if it really needed that, it would have it, but it's not in our best interest, or we would have it. And our behavior is chronic. Our behavior is impulsive. Our behavior doesn't go anywhere because it's just us pretending that we're not going in these loops. And so when we think things are taken from us and when we think we are lost and everyone's abandoned us and we don't know where to go and we're forlorn, the truth is that we're suddenly seeing the light, that what we've been doing isn't working, and now finally God has shown me, the Divine Mother has shown me, that this is real. This spiritual thing I've been doing, dabbling in as a hobby for the past 20 years, 10 years, 5 years wasn't a hobby after all. It was who I was born to become. It was what I really needed in my life. And thank God that your karma brought you back to that. And so that you can hear my words now. The time is now. Life on earth is short. What we do here will create a huge rippling effect. And we have to have the trust and faith that it might not make that much sense now, but it will make a lot more sense when we leave this body. And the best we can do now is align ourselves with truly like-minded people who are truly living a sattvic lifestyle, who are truly committed to something beyond the mundane, and that we truly do what it takes to change our life and to learn first the foundation of how we need to live, not as some thing we get all wrapped up in for a couple weeks then drop, but a way that we can live it where it becomes who we are. And that is 100% attainable. And so I invite you, come to the retreat in August. There's a few spots left so that you can get an idea of what sort of life, what sort of day you can have that could build upon itself so that you can transform your life and embody the serenity and peace and acceptance that a light worker needs to have. Because we need to have the center. If we don't have the center with all the intensity of our feelings and all of our receptivity and sensitivity, it gets pretty rugged. It can be really upsetting and confusing. And things can change completely when we just admit this isn't working and we align ourselves and make a commitment and we tune in to our heart and really, our minds are very intensely powerful and our minds will do really dark things to us. They may just be past habitual patterns, but the point is you are not your thoughts. You cannot trust every thought you have because, as you know, we all have many different people living inside of us. And one part of us wants one thing and the other part of us is not into it. So what the yoga is and what is the training of a light worker is that we need to find a way to align all those different parts of us. And all of these parts of us have to agree, ultimately, that while they all might want different things totally, ultimately, we can at least all agree on the fact that we must put this first. And when we put this first, just like Jesus and all the saints say, everything else you guys inside of me want, besides this, because the other things aren't nothing, we can have those things. But we all have to come into agreement on we are developing our consciousness, we are increasing our vibration, we are increasing our frequency. We are headed this way, and all the other things I want will be added to me. They will come to me. Because if you do the things I'm talking about, your magnetism will draw everything you want to you. But right now, like I said in my last video, our magnetism, with all those negative thoughts we have, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a failure, I'm depressed. It's like, okay, and that more of that coming this way. We're pulling to us. Our thoughts are pulling our reality to us. So when we get with the lifestyle, like I'm talking about, we start changing our thoughts because our food and our environment and the way we're living is affecting us. And we need mind training because when we start changing our thoughts and what we're eating and how we're sleeping and who we're spending our time with, we're going to have different thoughts and our life's going to improve. And yeah, the past is catching up, but that doesn't last forever. And we create a whole new beautiful reality for ourselves and that we feel good about our lives because this isn't about money. It isn't about fame and fortune. It's about you being a vessel of the mother light on planet Earth in this time when we need it most. And you are blessed. And all you need to do is surrender to the light and stop fighting and stop resisting because the only thing that causes pain is resistance. Stop resisting. Resistance causes pain. Resistance causes suffering. Let it go, let go, and listen to your heart. I'm telling you because I've been all these places. I'm just telling you, I've done all these things and I know what it's like. And there is no other answer but the one I'm saying right now. And maybe I'm saying it differently than someone else who's been in the same place as me, but it's still the answer. There is only one road, and that road leads to the light. And anything we encounter on that road that's uncomfortable for us because it's about parts of ourselves we've disowned, rather than try to get away from them or blame someone else for making us feel a certain way or reacting or whatever, be with that. Embrace it. Embrace that as a part of yourself. Love yourself and everyone you find along the way. When the light gets very bright, pull them into your heart and keep going forward into the mother light, because that is your calling in this lifetime. And I really want you to believe that. I want you to, because it's true.